All right, so similar polygons, right? So these are figures that have the same shape, but are not necessarily the same size. All right, so the same shape, but not the same size. And then we're going to abbreviate similar with that little tilde symbol, right? Think about it's the top of the congruent sign, right? That's what we're using to say things are similar. It's a little tilde. It's the top of the congruent symbol. So like how we would draw congruence like this, right? It's just this top part is similar. Okay. Okay. So what does it exactly mean though to be similar, right? How do I tell? So the first thing I need to have is all corresponding angles need to be congruent. All right, so all corresponding angles are congruent. And then the lengths of the corresponding sides need to be proportional. Okay. So when I look at these kind of two shapes here, when I look at this, ABCD is similar to GHIJ. That is the similarity statement, right? So if they ever say, write a similarity statement, or what is a similarity statement, they're talking about this right here. Okay. So if you notice, right, A and G are congruent, B and H, C and I, D and J. So the other thing I would have is that all these corresponding side lengths, right? So AB, what's AB going to correspond to in the other figure? GH. Right? If I take their two lengths, whatever that number is going to be the same for all the sides. All right? So BC over HI, CD over IJ, and AD over GJ. Right, so all of those side lengths, if I divide them, are going to have the same scale factor. They're going to be proportional. Okay, so needs to be quiet while we're talking about this. So we still have, when we talk about similarity, we're going to talk about scale factors, right? So scale factor is the ratio of corresponding side lengths. Right, so kind of similar to when we looked at the scale factors for dilations. Right, we're going to look at scale factors here. So if I look here, right, they tell me that ABCD is similar to XYZ. Right, so if I look at this, when I want to find the scale factor, I need to look at what's the side length from ABCD. So it doesn't matter which one you pick. Right, so if I say 15, tie. So if I say 15, right, what side corresponds to 15? 6. Right? So if I say 15 over 6, right, now I just want to reduce that. So what's going to go into both 15 and 6? 3. So they're both by 3. My scale factor is 5/2. Now we want to talk about how do I decide if two shapes are similar, right? So if I look at those first two shapes, JKLM and TUVW, do I have 4 pairs of congruent angles? Yeah, right? Each angle is congruent to another one in the other side, so that's good. So now I want to check the scale factors, right? So I look at and say, what side corresponds to MJ? WT, right? So look at 6 over 6, right? Reduce this to 1. So now if this is going to be similar, when I look at the scale factors, right, for the other sides, it better be 1. So then if I look and say, so JK is 12, right? What side's going to correspond to JK? TU, right? So you have 12 over 6, which is 2. So right there, I can say they're not similar, right? Because the sides are not proportional. Right, so I don't even need to check the other two because I've already found one that has a different, it's not the same, so I can stop right there. Okay. So if I look at the two triangles, right, if I look at AC, right, is 8, what side is that going to correspond to? FD, right? So 8 over 10. I want to reduce that fraction. What goes into both? 2. So I end up with 4/5. So now when I check the other sides, I want 4/5 to be what that fraction reduces to. All right? So, Bryce, what side corresponds to AB in the other triangle?
DE, right?
Yes. DE is 15, right? I just want you to stop talking. So 3 goes into both, right? So I get 4/5. So I'm looking good, right? These things look like they could be similar. So look at the last two, right? 16 over 20, right? Divide by 4, I get 4/5. Right? So because all three sides reduce to the same fraction, right? I can say, yes, triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF, right? And the scale factor is 4/5. So this is where solving proportions is going to come into play, right? So it says these two things are similar, and they want me to find the value of x, right? So I'm going to start by setting up, I know the side lengths have to be proportional, right? So x divided by something is going to have to equal some other thing, right? So what side in ABCD is going to be corresponding to that FG side? BC, right? So x over 7.5, and now I need to set up another proportion with two other sides. So could I use these two sides? They correspond. Okay, so if I do that, right, I get that. Is that something I can solve? No, right? I don't want to use something like that because it has another variable. So I've got to look at this 6 and this 9, right? So now when I look at this, how do I decide what goes in the numerator of this fraction? Why would the 6 go there? Yeah, because I've already said the smaller shape is on the top than the other one, so to be proportional, I have to have corresponding sides, right? So I have 6 over 9. So now this goes back to solving proportions, so do that cross multiplication, right? So 9x equals 45. So x equals 5.